Hello, everyone. Ted Clayton here. I want to address something on this video. I want to add on to another video that I recently put out titled Reasons for Focusing on Heightism. Now, in that video, I stated one, just to recap, one, it's a primal thing, a instinctual, in layman's term, a caveman process that I'm going through, a stage that I'm going through, where that part of the brain is asking, why haven't we reproduced yet? And it's going to be pretty violent, per se. It's going to be pretty aggressive in wanting to have that need be addressed, that part of the brain to be addressed. And then the second thing is society having an issue with short men having confidence, not wanting short men to have confidence. So just kind of clearing things up from my perspective, or from just giving my personal accounts as to how I see things, so then we can have a conversation, because there's a perception going on out there, and then there's this kind of reception that I'm getting, so I want to address that. But there's a third thing that just came to mind, and it ties into that, but it's a little more nuanced. And that's the topic of the potential of this perception being fairly dangerous. And I've talked about this a couple of times, where now there's tall men that they have this perception, they have this idea in their head that we're the problem. So in essence, what I'm getting at is, we've been, all that to say, right now, 2021, in this period of time, we're dealing with a schism in society as a whole, left and right, men and women, PlayStation and Xbox, and it's getting pretty heated on all accounts, right? So with that being said, one thing that's happening, and it doesn't really get talked about, but you start to see it when you see their interactions and how they play out, is tall and short, and specifically with men. Now, I shared this in another video where I think it's silly, not just and again, I don't want just to put it out there for the millionth time, billionth time. I don't have an issue with anyone's natural inclination. That's not the issue. It's this whole binary, or it's this whole false perception, or rather just kind of this demeaning that's happening, right? But I also shared another video where I think women have to be looking at men like they're stupid. I mean, that's the I mean, okay, men are dumb, women are crazy. I think there's a spectrum where that's acceptable, but then when it gets past a certain limit, past a certain spectrum, past a certain threshold, then that's when it becomes unacceptable. It becomes actually a problem. So with something like this, women have to sit back and think, no, these guys, they're so dumb. They're fighting over height, and that's what's happening. So all I have to say, we have this schism, and I've said this before, where when you have, and I'm going to share an example which hopefully will bring my point home. When you have something like this happening, now I'm 5'2". I just had an encounter right now. I wouldn't say encounter, but just kind of a standoff. I just crossed paths with this tall guy, right? This is some tall Asian guy. And I'm right here in the rich part of town. If you guys know this area, you guys know exactly where I'm at. I'm walking to actually come out here, right? So I'm walking towards the exit. There's this tall girl in front of me. Now, I'm not really paying attention to her. I didn't even see her face. She comes right in front of me. She doesn't block me or anything, but she comes and obstruct me, but she comes right in front of me. She walks, and then to my left, there's a Rite Aid, and there's this tall Asian guy coming out the Rite Aid. Now, when he's coming out the Rite Aid, he looks at me, and he has this disgusted look on his face. But you can tell there's something else behind that. And I've seen that look before. And some of you guys may have seen this before, too. Some of you short men have probably seen this. Now, I'm 5'2". This gentleman looked like he was maybe 6'2". So that's dangerous. That's pretty alarming for someone like me. That's worrying for someone like me. I have to say it, for something like that. And where I really started seeing this being, again, I am approaching 40. I'm a early millennial. I've never seen anything like this. Actually, growing up, a lot of my close friends were tall guys, big and tall guys. Never had an issue with tall men. Now it's like this schism happening, right? And when I really started to see this shift and I remember I was so bothered by it. It was when if I had to put a marker, it was when the whole Bagel Boss thing happened as far as a timeline, but it was a response from that video, really. And it was from Owen Benjamin. Now, if you guys know who Owen Benjamin is, Big Bear, I love the guy. I even subscribed to Unauthorized TV for some time. Never got into Vox Day, just to put it out there. Even when he was one of the first people on YouTube to be deplatformed, but I never really got into him. He just has this scary vibe to him. I just never got into him. Maybe at some point I'll just hash up some old videos or something like that. Look it up, and I'm not saying anything about him personally. I just never followed him. But I subscribed to Unauthorized TV. And I remember when that whole thing came out, he started clowning. He started clowning on short men, but just kept going on and on about it. And I remember one time when that video came out, when the Bagel Boss thing came out, I remember one time, and he was being serious. He was saying something like, "We got to do something about this short man problem." And he was being, this is one of the few times, and you guys know that this guy is he has a couple screws loose. Intelligent man, but a couple screws loose. So a 6'7" guy with a couple screws loose, that's pretty dangerous for someone like me. And let me continue. So I remember he had this video. He looked real stressed out, and more than he normally does. He looked real stressed out. He has face all up in the camera. He's just like guys, like, oh man, we gotta do something. He's like that. Like, he's all up in the camera. He was really tense, really stressed out. And he said, we have to do something about this short man problem. Later on, and he'll make some more jokes. Keep making more jokes, which I didn't find funny. I found them tasteless. And again, I don't have a problem with any jokes. But then he started. I think it was a song he made, but he said something about rounding up short men, and I said, okay, that's it. Like, okay, that right there, that's an issue right there. That's a legitimate issue right there. And it was even, I think somebody wrote to him. They asked him, do you really think that a man's value should be determined by his height? And the way he responded to it, if any of you guys have seen this video, you know what I'm talking about. The way he responded to it, it was a lie. He wasn't telling the truth. He was like, no, of course not. I wouldn't. It was a blatant tell. He was like, of course not. A man's value by his height, of course not. It was something like, it was so obvious. If you know body language, you know it's so obvious. You're talking about a 6'7" guy who has this chip on his shoulder for short men. Now, I would love to talk to him, but if somebody knows how to connect both of us, we can talk. But again, that's concerning. That's concerning. I'm 5'2". He's 6'7". That's concerning. And I think this guy has a following, just to put it very lightly. He has a following. So imagine a bunch of tall guys having this idea, right? And for someone like me, I'm going to need to, remember, I'm 5'2", he's 6'7". I'm going to need to protect myself the best way I can for any threats like this. If anything, unexpected happens. But, once I started hearing that, and again, I'm all for jokes, but sometimes you could just feel something is not right. And, within a joke, there is some truth. So that's the other reason why I bring it, because all that to say, we're going through this schism in society. And it's not to say that I'm changing anyone's mind, but it's at least where I said my piece. So whatever happens from this point on, at least me, Ted Clayton, I said my piece. We got a chance to talk. Now after that, it's going to be where it's going to be. Anyway, just wanted to make a quick video on that. That's all for now. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.